uh, I don't think there'll ever be a time when I start this when I'm not fidgeting or doing something. One of these days I'll just be sitting like perfectly still when we start. It's just not today. Hi, everybody. So what you can see behind me are parts of my bedroom. You know what's really funny? They have I think it's like a meme or yeah, I think it's like a meme where they talk about girls that have like a million pillows on their bed. I'm that girl. I have 8 pillows on my bed, plus like a body pillow, like a roll pillow that I don't really use for anything. You know, it's just there, like being surrounded, because I sleep by myself, so it's nice to kind of like, you know, have a feeling like somebody or something is wedged around me. Dora Coleman, let me give you a wave. Life with Keely, my darling. Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. How is everybody on this Wednesday? Is this the first Wednesday in May? It is. This is the first Wednesday in May. Do I look cute? Thanks. I did my face. Listen to me. I'm tired. I've been awake since 4 o'clock this morning, and I thought, okay, I just could like, you know, kind of come with a regular face. But man, I felt like I was looking crazy. So I was like, you know what? Let me pretty up myself a little bit and put on something a little bit cute, you know, because you guys are my audience. This is my talk show. Until I get a talk show of my own, this is my talk show. So you don't have to come looking like the celebrities them. Except I don't have celebrity makeup. I just do my own face. But I hope that everybody is good. I hope that you are having a good week. Happy hump day to everybody. You know, the run-ins. So I was up early because I don't know whether people know or not, my son is Muslim, and we are in Ramadan right now, and so he is fasting. And so he wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning to eat. He doesn't live here, but he came by last night, and Drizzy Dre, what's going in? What's going in? So he came by yesterday, and I cooked for him, and he stayed over, and he's got long hair, so like he washed his hair, and I did his hair and all that. So I felt like, you know, I was going to take ambition and wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to cook breakfast for him before he had to leave to go to work. Pac-Man 49, what's going on? And so because I'm always paranoid that I'm going to oversleep, and I don't like setting alarms because they scare the shit out of me. And I don't like that feeling of, I don't like that feeling of panic in my sleep. So I wrestled with sleep. I think I went to sleep maybe about 12:30 in the morning. Regardless, I was up at 4 to cook for him. He decided he actually didn't want breakfast, had a mango instead. So I've been awake since 4 o'clock. Yeah, so I feel crazy. As much as I always feel like I look my best when I'm not well. It's one of those really weird things. So anyhow, wearing a new top. My daughter said it looks like I have a uniboob because the top, anyways, we're not going to get into all of that. It's a little snug. Lamborghini Mercy. What's up, Mercy? Hi. Oh, let me send you a wave. There you go. Anyways, so that was my woes about being up from since 4 o'clock this morning. I'm tired. But you know, it's Wet Wednesdays, and so we have to be here to have 1 and 2 conversations with my lovely followers, check in with everybody, see how everybody is doing during quarantine times. So I know, like, so I'm in Canada because I had to come back to my country when they closed down the borders. And so now we've been told that they're going to start normalizing things and letting people kind of back out into society and opening up things by May 19th. So they keep pushing the date back. I'm okay with that though, because I mean, it's better to err on the side of caution and to be safe. And I think the best practices are for them to like open up things a little bit at a time and not do like in a rush. Because I heard that, I don't know if all of Georgia opened back up, but there's certain parts of Georgia that opened back up, and then the cases of COVID-19 spiked again. And I don't want to be in that situation. I know nobody wants to be in that situation. So, you know, just kind of take your time and ease back into life. Daddy B Doug, I don't know if I said that right. Greetings and good evening. Okay, so tonight I was going to talk about if someone is interested in you, is that enough of a reason for you to get into a relationship with the person? Like if their desires for you and so on. But then Ms. Recipes and Lingerie, Ms. Madonna, she sent me something that was curious that I think I want to talk about instead. And it's basically that, you know, there's a saying that's always, you can't make a hoe into a housewife, But then they're like, so you can't wife a hoe, but can you husband a criminal? So I wanted to talk about that a bit because, there's always this stereotype that if a woman has had a loose past, if she's had a hoish past, that she would not make a good wife. But then there's this level of forgiveness that women are expected to have for men who have been in circumstances or situations where in their past they've been a criminal, or in their past they've been incarcerated, or in their past they've spent some time on the wrong side of the law. So I thought that would be a more interesting discussion for us to have, as opposed to we can do the other one, later if we kind of run out of things to talk about as things go on. But I don't know, like I'm never one for judging people by their past. It's a different thing if somebody was a hoe and continues to be a hoe. Then that's a different kind of consideration about what that person is doing with their body and who they're doing it with and how many people they're doing it with, as opposed to maybe the person had a hoe. And I don't even like that word hoe. Like, if you like to fuck, you just like to fuck. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Marie. I swear I always say the same thing every time you log in. Okay, so if a woman has a more of a loose past, you know what I mean? There's always this debate that a woman isn't a good woman if her body count is really high, which I think is absolutely idiotic, because it has to be, it should be balanced. That boy, good 58, what's going on? Welcome. To me, I think that it should be balanced, right? There shouldn't be judgments about what a person does with their body parts, or, people are watch the mileage on a woman's pum pum, or, that kind of thing. But for me, and not just because I'm a woman, but I always feel like, is it more important the number of people that she's fucked, and she lies to you about the number of people that she's fucked, versus was she safe? Was she taking precautions? Was she making sure that she's getting checked and seeing a doctor on a regular basis? Was she doing all the things in order to keep herself healthy? Because at the end of the day, the reality is a woman doesn't have to tell you how many people that she slept with. You know what I mean? She could have slept with 200 people and told you like 20. How would you know the difference? Mercy. I think mainly women express that can't turn a hoe into a housewife. It's weird that you hear it from men. Really? I generally hear it from men. Like, anytime that I've ever heard that statement or seen it posted, it's always been on a man's page. So Mercy, I'm going to ask you, not to call you out or anything like that, but just because you said it, do you think that that's a fair assessment, that a woman who has a relatively hoish past, for whatever reasons, whether, she just liked to fuck, whether she was a stripper, whether whatever, should that dictate that she would not be a good wife? That's the question. Dora Coleman, what kind of criminal background? Attempted murder, assault and battery, Mercy, hell no. See, this is why I love you. This is why I love you, Mercy. My thing is, you know what? People can change. And there should be room for forgiveness in people's hearts. And people can change, S. Marie, no, it's not a fair assessment. I know someone who was sexually free, and she's a wonderful wife. And I agree with that, because the thing is, like, I feel like there will forever be a double standard. There will forever be a double standard where women are chastised for their sexual freedom, whereas men are encouraged to, go around and sleep with whomever and how many of whoever they want to sleep with, right? But then my question is, so the number of women that he's sleeping with are the women who are in the whole category, but he's not in the whole category because he's a man. Daddy B Doug, I think it's men who can't handle the mindset of a woman having someone besides him. Okay. But what if that's part of, well, yeah, because that's part of the woman's past. Because the thing is, like, I remember dating a man years ago, and it just struck me as odd, and it's one of those things that always stuck in my mind for some very strange reason. He said to me that he wished that he could erase, and not in a good way kind of erase, like erase every man that I'd ever slept with before him. Which is a little fucking cray-cray. Just a wee bit. But he was serious. Like, he was so very serious. Kuzo89, what's going on? Lewis Hopeton, it make it much better for you when a woman have a lot of sex partner. Okay, so Mr. Lewis Hopeton, please explain your point. Why does it make it better for a man when a woman has had many sex partners? Because there's a lot of people who will not agree with you. You know, you have men who, you know, will talk to a woman like the woman. She's got all the wonderful qualities that he's looking for in a long-term partner, will have all the wonderful qualities that he's looking for in a wife. And then comes this conversation about sex and the number of sex partners that she's had. And if she decides to be entirely honest with him, she can be judged by that and it can change his mindset. The real McCoy, what's going on? Welcome to the discussion. It can affect the way that he views her. It can affect the way that he thinks about her. Now, I know that that's not the woman's issue. That's entirely the man's issue and something for him to resolve in himself in terms of his own insecurities. But it's definitely something that can affect the relationship if he's not more secure in his thinking, or if he's not, you know, I don't even know. I'm not even sure what to call it, but it can definitely affect the relationship and the interaction, and switch his mindset from thinking of her as being a long-term partner to being stuck on the fact that he thinks that she's a hoe or she was a hoe. Dora Coleman, I'm like this. If he has had many sexual partners, then I expect him to be very experienced and not have to be taught. Yeah, that's not always the case though. And the reason I say that is because it depends on Kingdom of Heart. What's going on? It depends on the experience of the sex partners he's had. Because if he's had experience with women who may not necessarily be that wonderful with sex, or they themselves are inexperienced, it doesn't necessarily balance out that he's going to be a great lover. Happy Knees. I'm guessing that's supposed to be Happiness 111. I don't know you, and I'm scared to accept your chat request because, man, every time I accept a chat, you know what? Let me not say that. The last time I accepted a chat request from somebody that I didn't know, he actually turned out to be a decent person. But everybody else before that wants to show their penis to my audience, and I'm not entirely sure why. So, you know, we might just leave that alone for a couple of minutes. And back to the discussion. Okay. So, is it a fair assessment to say that, you know, on the flip side of you can't wife a hoe, is it fair to say on the flip side of that you cannot husband someone who was a criminal? Or you can't husband a man that was a hoe? Because again, in society, there's an unfair expectation or an unfair bias placed on women who have had multiple sex partners. There's an unfair judgment that is placed on women who have had multiple sex partners. You know, and there are men who set a standard for themselves because they have decided that they're not going to sleep with a bunch of people, that even if they met a woman who is fantastic and has all the qualities and criteria he's looking for, once he starts to get into her sexual history, it becomes a turnoff for him because she's had many sex partners. Again, I don't know why people are watching the mileage on a woman's pum pum. The things that should be more important are, do you get tested regularly? You know, when is the last time you've been to a doctor? Do you use protection when you're doing whatever it is that you're doing? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that man wants to fuck that woman too. He's just maybe concerned about who came before him. And then I always wonder too, is it a matter of that she's had a lot of sex partners, or is it a matter of the man not feeling like he's going to be able to live up to her sexual expectations because she's so experienced? I think that that's more the reason, but I could be wrong. Let me know what you guys think. Dora Coleman, depending on the number of women and how small a location is, like when he's a community girl. Woo! So, sorry, I'm laughing because it's always comical to me when, you know, a man will judge a woman because of her sexual past, but then he himself is giving out community dick like they're lollipops, and then women get to talking about the community dick. to find out that it's not them that have the issue, it's the man that has the issue. Kuzo89, you know darn well that you can't make a hoe a housewife. She'll always be a hoe. Okay, you see? That's the comment that I was waiting for. So, Kuzo89, I'm going to ask you why it is that you think that way. Do you really think that a woman cannot change from being a hoe? And I'm asking this like in all seriousness, because when I look at, there are women that used to be strippers that are now married and they're not hoes. There are women that used to be adult film stars that are married and are not hoes. There are women who have, sordid pasts that have given their life to God, have given their life to their faith, have committed their life to their religion, have committed their life to the man that they're with, and now they're married. So when you say you know darn well that you can't make a hoe a housewife, she'll always be a hoe, I want to ask you to explain that to me. Because again, this is my thing, right? Unless the woman tells you up front and she's honest, and honesty is relative, because the thing is, if she never tells you how many sex partners she's had, how will you ever know how many sex partners she had? Unless somebody comes up and like, yo, I smashed that your girl, or, I had piece of that, or whatever the case may be, when someone's chatting thoughts, then that's a whole different thing. But if you ask her how many men she slept with, and if she's actually in fact slept with 20, but she tells you 5, how are you going to know that she's not telling you the truth? Kingdom of Heart. Everybody has a past and everyone has a future. People change. You get it. Come. I'm hugging you. I'm sending you a big hug. And that's just the thing, to judge somebody by their past and to assume that a person is going to stay stagnant and to assume that a person is going to stay the same for the eternity of their life, that it's unfair. It's unfair, and you don't have the right to judge somebody. You have people, you have ministers who were drug dealers, they were gangbangers, they did this, that, and the third, attempted murder, went to jail, and did all these things, and now they minister to the community, and they've turned their lives around. Like I said, you have women who were porn stars, you have women who were strippers, who are now good women in the community, giving back to the community and doing due diligence and staying on the straight and narrow. Dora Coleman, for women, it all depends on a time gap. Your teenage years could have been lit, but later on in your 30s, you might want to settle down. Lamborghini Mercy, if he's a criminal, he's got to work extra hard to be a provider because many of them can't after they've been in the system. I've seen a lot of ex-con homosexuals. I love you. Homosexuals are the ones that bounce from house to house because, they can't do their own. And really and truly, when you weigh it on that scale, a man who has a criminal past is less likely to be a good husband and provider, not because he doesn't want to be, but because his past won't let him be, versus a woman who was a hoe. Because again, it's not necessarily about erasing your past as a woman who's been provocative or a woman who's been sexually free. Nobody ever has to know about that. Whereas if you have a criminal background, the world will know. Do you know what I mean? It's easy enough to find out. And so it's like, the same graces that you expect a woman to give you and the same love and understanding that you expect a woman to give you because of your criminal background should be the same grace and the same understanding that you would give a woman who's had, a highly sexual past. Dora Coleman, only criminal background I will not tolerate. Child molesters or rapists, those are more mental illnesses. And yes, I would definitely have to agree. There are a lot of things that I could let go in terms of a criminal past, but absolutely rapists, absolutely not. Child molesters, okay, so I'm just going to say it. Child molesters should just be shot and killed. Like there's no forgiveness for a child molester. We're not even going to get into that whole conversation, but they just need to be eradicated because of a whole bunch of reasons. And I don't care. I don't care who it is. That just doesn't float anywhere. No time. Big J 8176, greetings, welcome. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I don't know if we need to really continue with the rest of, the conversation because it's basically what it comes down to is, the level of acceptance, the level of respect that you want for yourself based on your past. If you as a man have a criminal history, should be the same level of respect and decency that you would give to a woman who you think has been, fairly loose in the community or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, like Kingdom of Hearts said, everyone has a past. Pepper Marie, Pepperan. Kingdom of Heart. What about the ones that was molested as a child and grew up to be one? Honestly, okay, so, boy, see, you're forcing us to go into this conversation. Okay, I will take back my statement. I will amend my statement about saying that all child molesters should just be eradicated off the face of the earth. Okay? I feel like there are, to some degree, categories for molesters. And just hear me out when I say this. The reason I say that is, okay, so as Kingdom of Heart had stated, you have individuals who they themselves were molested as children and grew up to become child molesters. I still feel that there's a level of responsibility that people have to get help, especially if they know that it's something from their past that has followed them to their future and dictates their life. We don't live in a world anymore where things are so kept in the dark that people cannot get counseling, that people cannot get help, that, you know what I mean? Like we live in the information technology. We live in an informed world. And there are services available to people, whether it's through a community network, whether it's through a faith-based network, whether it's through a family friend or otherwise. You know, I feel like if you don't want to get help, then yeah, you deserve whatever punishment and pain comes to you. Life with Keely. I dated one. They should all get molested while in prison. Fair enough. Kuzo89, this topic I have to be careful with. It's referring to change. The majority of the people on this earth don't believe in change. So some people think a homosexual will always be a homosexual. I'm just saying. That's a completely different turn than what we're talking about. We're talking about a woman having an overtly sexual past versus a man having a criminal history. We're not going to dive into the world of talking about homosexuality, whether or not that's something that's learned behavior or something that's born with. That is a different kind of thing. It's not about change being changed, because there are a lot of people who are open to change. There are a lot of people who are accepting of change, you know, and it's interesting to me. So we're gonna get religious for a second, right? If someone who has a sordid past, so someone was a hoe, someone was a criminal, someone was whatever, and they have now given their life to God and they have changed and they are no longer that thing that they were, should they not be accepted? Should they not be welcome? Should they not be afforded the same respect as everybody else because they've turned their life around? You see, this is my thing. It can't be both ways. Like, you can't judge people harshly on the things that they've done before if they've made amends for those things, right? It's different if the person has done these terrible things or these loose and wild things, and they continue to do them, and that's the life that they continue to live. Then, you know, they have to own up to the consequences thereof. So if a woman decides that she's going to fling her pussy everywhere she goes at every man that she sees, but at some point she wants to get married and you know, nobody wants to settle down with her because they know that she flings her pussy everywhere, then that's a choice that she's made, right? Obviously, you would have to make a change in your lifestyle if you want someone to take you seriously, right? Consequently, if a man has a criminal past, like you have men who knock the streets hard. You have men who knock the streets from morning till night. And at some point, you know, maybe they have a child, maybe they meet a woman, maybe they found God, maybe they have an epiphany, maybe whatever the case may be. And they've decided, or maybe they've seen enough of their friends and their family members get killed where they've decided, you know what, this isn't for me. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to make a change in my life, right? You would hope that there is a woman that comes along or a man that comes along and accepts them and says, you know what, that used to be you, but that's no longer you. I respect the person that you are now. I respect the fact that you recognize that that was a dangerous way for you to live and a harmful way for you to live. And, you know, that you've decided to make a change because you want better for yourself, right? You can't always hold someone to their past, especially if that person has made the effort to change. It's different if the person continues to live that way without getting help, without, you know, seeking any sort of change. Then that's a completely different thing altogether. That's a completely different thing altogether. Gerald Moore 7, greetings and good nights. Morel Ruse, you have all these people who want to request to chat to me and don't know who I am from no place. King Size 1974, what's going on? Kuzo, in the hood, barbershops everywhere. I hear it daily. People will pin labels on you like a tattoo. I completely agree. Listen to me. There's nothing. We are judgmental. We as a society, we because we have thought, we because we're smart, we because we have brains, we're judgmental. We're judgmental as fuck. Even when we try not to be, we're still judgmental because we're human and we're fallible. You know, the best that you can hope for is a person will try to see eye to eye with you. The best that you can hope for is that a person will try to reason with you. The best that you can hope for is that a person will try to hear what it is that you're saying, you know what I mean? And try to see with you and try to see who you actually are and where you are in your life and work with that before they put a label on you. Or even if they put a label on you, that they're still open-minded enough to try to at least learn something about you so that they can change that. Dora Coleman, I have dated a guy that had a criminal background, but sometimes life puts you in a position where you got to survive. Girl, talk that talk. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, I know a lot of people, like even just coming from Jamaica, right? People who have had to do things in order, like you said, to survive. People who have had to do things in order to take care of their kids, in order to take care of their mom, their siblings, their whomever's, right? Sometimes you're in a situation where you, as the younger person in the family, you're running the streets because that's the only way that your family could survive is for you to make that money hustling in the street. That's a criminal past. You know, should you judge the person by that criminal past? No. And that's the thing about it. It's like, sit down and have a conversation with a person and find out where they're coming from. Don't necessarily just assume that the person is a bad person or that person is a hoe because X, Y, Z. You don't know what people have to do to live and eat sometimes. She likes them big. What's going on? Welcome, Mr. Don D. What is going on? Yeah. There are a lot of different life circumstances that, you know, you have... you have people who have had to sell their bodies because that's how they've had to survive in the world. You've had people who've had to commit armed robbery or, you know, push drugs or do drops or whatever the case may be because that's how they've had to survive in the world, right? Again, to assume that a person cannot change or to assume that a person is tied to their history and tied to how they grew up, it's an unfair judgment. S. Marie, everyone has a story. Absolutely. Kuzo 89, I disagree. I have a criminal background because I put myself in those situations. You always have better options. People just sometimes look for a fast way out. I have to disagree with you. Because so suppose, you know what I mean? You get pulled into the lifestyle, right? Suppose that for whatever reason, your family background is such that, you know, nobody in your house has the ability to make money for whatever the reasons may be, right? And so someone offers you an easy job and you take that easy job and you get pulled into this lifestyle, right? There are different life circumstances and there are different choices. You're saying that everyone has a choice, but you don't know that. You don't know everybody's story, and people come from different walks of life. Like I said, I know people from Jamaica who were hustling and selling drugs when they're like 10 years old because nobody in their house, you know, is working. Like, you know, it's not like that. It's that easy to get a job or it's that easy to make money. You have to look at people's life circumstances. You can't assume that everybody has an opportunity to do better at that exact moment. Sometimes it takes time for them to get to a position where they can do better. Dora Coleman, there was even strippers that put themselves through college and have degrees making more money than the person that they dated. But you know what? Nobody wants to talk about that. You have doctors, you have lawyers, you have judges. You have people in positions of power who have who have pasts, who have done things, who, you know what I mean? Like you said, who have stripped I know a lawyer. She stripped to get through university. That's what she did. You know what I mean? And she's a successful lawyer. She's married, and her husband have 3 kids. You know, for him to have looked at her and said, okay, well, you were a stripper, you know, you're never going to amount to anything. It's asinine. Like, to assume that a person cannot be any different than what their past was is absolutely crazy. And to judge a person by their past is absolutely crazy. You have to sometimes try to see eye to eye with a person. You have to try to see where the person's coming from, how they got to where they are from where they used to be. Again, it's different if the person refuses to change. It's different if the person is unwilling to grow. It's different if the person is unwilling to make forward movements and they're just stuck where they are. So if it's someone who runs the streets, you know, he started running the streets when he's 16. Now he's 40 and he's content to stay in the streets, then that's a different situation. He's not trying to change. But if you had somebody that started in the streets and now they're 40, they're a business owner, you know what I mean? They've got, you know, a couple of properties or whatever. They've made progressive strides, and they've actually done. Jay-Z, for example. Let's take Jay-Z as a perfect example. Jay-Z was a man who used to push product. And now look where he is, right? When Jay-Z was a much younger man, he was flashy dashy. It was gold and diamonds all day long. And at some point, a light bulb went on in his head, and he recognized wealth is not in the diamonds. Wealth is not in the golds. Wealth is not in the grills. Wealth is not in the flashy dashy cars. Wealth is in investments. Wealth is in property. Wealth is not standing on the block. Wealth is buying the block. You know, if he had stayed in that mindset, he would be almost 50 years old, maybe not standing on the corner, but he would be in a trap house somewhere having people working on the corner for him. Most everybody has a past. And I say most everybody because you have some people who have stayed on the straight and narrow their whole entire lives. You know, you just do. You have some people who have stayed on the straight and narrow their whole entire lives. But most everybody has a past of some kind. And to judge a person, to say that a hoe cannot be a housewife or a criminal cannot be a husband is ridiculous. Dreadhead Jay Sean. What's going on? S. Marie. Exactly. I feel like I need a drink. We'll take a pause for the cause. Come on, everybody, talk to me. Talk to me. How is everyone doing with the stress of being quarantined? Yes, I still have my 1 Wawa cup. Please leave me alone. Vodka and pineapple berry, something or other. That's the drink of choice today. Mr. Coco Peal. Okay, so now I am open to taking a call. Please don't let it be anybody crazy that wants to talk to me. If you want to come in. Yes, it's a big drink. Don't watch that. It's a little bit of alcohol and lots of juice and lots of ice. Don't watch that. You know why? Because I have to be level-headed when I'm having these conversations so I don't like go off the rails and say something that's absolutely crazy. But a couple of people had wanted to join the live chat. Ah, boy. I'm willing to take one call from somebody. So let me just preface this in saying, if you act crazy, if you show your penis, if you do anything remotely retarded, you're gonna get ejected from the call. I really hate the fact that the virus is sticking around. You know what it is? Because people won't keep their asses inside their house and people won't behave themselves. And I don't even think it's so much. Okay, so this is my personal thought. I have no doctorate, no PhD, no nothing. I honestly feel like the people who are wearing the masks and the gloves outside are causing more of a problem than the people who aren't, and people who are just keeping social distance and washing their hands and maintaining cleanliness. And I say that because I went to the supermarket today and I seen a woman, H Sauce, Texas was going on. I seen a woman with no mask on and gloves on. And she's there touching the fruit and touching her basket and touching her card and touching her money, touching her face. And all these things. So I go into the part where you can go buy like fresh fish, right? So she comes in the place where you can buy the fish with her gloves on and she's touching the fish. I'm going to show you my eye because I'm looking sideways. You see this? And in my mind, I'm saying to myself, she's going to go outside and pick up her groceries and put them in the car. Now, mind you, this is after touching her car keys. This is after touching the door handle. She's going to take up her bags of groceries and put them in the car. And I didn't see her drive away, but I promise you, this lady was driving inside her car with her gloves on. People do not understand the concept of cross-fucking contamination. Cross-contamination. Fam, how are you wearing gloves and touching a bag of things, then touching your keys, touching your car, driving your steering wheel, and then going inside your house? And you feel like somehow you're... Come on, man. Mercy. We don't even have enough gloves for regular people to wear them in the... You see what I'm saying? Hey, Nick. Planet 85. And that's because people are using them incorrectly. Like, it behooves me. I saw a woman today. The mask is supposed to cover your nose and your mouth, and she has the mask down here because she can't breathe properly. It stresses me out. And that's one of the reasons why I honestly believe that the virus continues to linger as long as it has, because people think that they're doing the right thing by wearing the gloves and wearing the masks. They're not using them in the proper way, and they're not using them effectively. Like, it's crazy. Mercy, it sucks because even leaders are spreading false information. Girl, they need to muzzle Donald Trump. They need to muzzle. They need to muzzle a lot of the world leaders. They really and truly do. They do. I was horrified when I saw, I think his name is Mike Pence, who's the vice president, went to the Mayo Clinic. And if I'm not mistaken, the Mayo Clinic expressly deals with cancer patients. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, right? But Mike Pence, even though his executives beside him were wearing gloves, the doctors were wearing gloves, everybody, he said he's not wearing a mask. He's not wearing it. He's content to walk around and spit and spread and breathe on people. And I'm saying to myself, okay, if you're outside in the public, that's one thing. But when you're in a hospital where sick people are, especially where cancer patients are, yo, fam, you need to stay outside. You need to stay outside. Like, do not go inside any public facility, especially where people are really sick. Don't do that. It's just, it's beyond disrespectful. This pandemic has produced nothing but a bunch of characters from Mortal Kombat. And then look at it now. So it wasn't enough that we had coronavirus. Now we have, what is it called? Murder hornets? Murder hornets coming for everybody's bumbleclots. Nick said, who needs a muzzle? Nick's selling muzzles and masks. But Nick sells sexy masks, not the kind of masks that you're wearing because of COVID-19. She sells masks for other reasons. Playful masks, fun masks. But yeah, this, the virus is staying longer than it probably would have if the people who were informed and the people who are our leaders and the people who were responsible for disseminating the right information had done all those things to begin with. But unfortunately, we have some levels of government where people are informed and they're taking the necessary precautions and they're making sure that their citizens within their state are safe, or as safe as can be, and they're trying to help people integrate back into life slowly. And then you have the leaders who are just morons, absolute morons, spreading information, inciting panic, inciting riots, and just fear mongering, and it's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah. I don't know. I'm hopeful. I look at the fact that, people who work in the healthcare, such as Mercy, every day out there risking their lives and doing due diligence and making sure that people stay safe and that, people are informed to the best of their ability. Because, of course, you have the flip side of it where, a nurse will tell you what she knows to be true because she's in it day to day. And then people will go and watch TV and listen to Donald Trump and decide that they're going to drink bleach or drink, what a foolishness that with the 30 people in New York, was it they drank the bleach or drank some kind of cleaner or what? Come on. Okay, so everyone pause for a second because somebody needs for me to embarrass them. Mam Daham Dabalsi Balishi or whatever your name is. Sir, I don't know you. Why? Why? We're not WhatsApping ever in life. Ever. Okay. Just so we're clear about that. Y'all trying to stress me out tonight. Don't do it. H Sauce Texas, I'm not sure what it is that you are promoting. But yeah, you sent a YouTube link. You know, I think it's because I smile so much and people Woo! Yes, just remain hopeful. Do whatever we can to stay in a good headspace because the news is depressing. So I'll tell you guys something about myself. I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news on a daily basis. I'll watch the news. I'll tune in like maybe once every 3 days. And then, oh, Dawn, yes, you can jump on. Come on, call me. If she doesn't send your WhatsApp number, I can send you my Cash App since you want attention. Girl, send it to him. Give him your Cash App information. Yeah, so I watch the news maybe once every 3 days, and then everything else that I need kind of gets filled in by social media. But the news is depressing as fuck, because it's like, you know, there's so much conflicting information. And so I try to pick sense from nonsense, you know what I mean? And try to do the pieces that I can do. And that's it. Listen to me. Come, everybody, put up your Cash App information, because the man there wants my WhatsApp number and he's not going to get it. So come, you see it there? Erotic Boudoir. You can, that's my Cash App. Send me anything that you want to send me, or you can send it to Pepper Ann Marie, Mr. Debishi, or whatever your name was that wants my information. You can send me something there as well. I am accepting all contributions. Anybody else want to throw up their Cash App since since people want something from me? S.Marie38. Yes, come peoples, put up your Cash App information. Met them give you something. I love you guys. Woo! You see it there? You see? Okay, so Pepper Ann, I'm going to do you even one better. Mr. Debishi, whatever your name is, if you send me $100 to any of those Cash Apps that were listed, Great Organza, S.Marie, Pepper Ann Marie, if you send $100 to any one of those, I'll give you the first 4 digits of my WhatsApp number. I'll give you the first 4 digits. How about that? We'll barter a deal. Okay? If you send $100 to any one of those 4, I will give you. Well, hold on then. How much numbers are in your something? It's 10 numbers. Your area code plus 3 plus 4. So I'll give you the first 7. You see that? No, I lie. I'll give you the first 6. You see, I'm trying to barter with you. I'm trying to be good, right? Come true with the negotiations. If you send $100, come, somebody else throw up their Cash App information. You guys are playing around, eh? Come put up Cash App. Come, Lamborghini Mercy, you need $100. You're working hard. Come put up your Cash App information. Anybody else want to try? Okay, so this is a negotiation. Mr. Bishi, Debishi, whatever the name was, if you send $100 to any of the Cash Apps that were listed, I will give you I'll give you the 8 digits. The first 8 out of 10 digits. You see it there? 8 out of 10 digits of my phone number. I'll give it to you. Oh, he logged out. He's gone? Wheel out! Oh, come, Mercy. You see what I'm talking about? Come, ladies and gentlemen, put up your Cash App information. If he sends $100, I will give him the 8 digits, 8 out of 10 digits of my phone number. You see how much I love you guys? You see how much I love you guys? You see the things I'm doing for y'all? You see them? You see it there? Come, I need a drink. My head. Oh, Lord, it's hot. Hey, me and my Wawa cup. You know, Nick, I've had this Wawa cup since I left you. Terrible. Oh, he's gone? You see, people don't like to play. They want to play around, but they don't like to play. They don't want to play right with me. They don't want to play. That's what it will be from now on. Any man that logs in, if you and I don't know each other and you want my WhatsApp number, I will give you 8 digits for $100. And you can Cash App it to any of my ladies. Could you please send me a new cup, Nick? Listen to me. I'm so dying for the borders to open so I can come and plant and come hug you up and come hang out in Philadelphia and travel to a whole bunch of other places too. Because I have people for see and things for do and hugs and kisses to give to some folks. Don't worry. I'm telling you, as soon as quarantine is done, the first 6 weeks, I am everywhere. I am coming to hug up everybody on the East Coast, and then like later on in November, I'm north, south, east, and then later on in November, I'm heading out west to give out the rest of my hugs and thing. Right? Yes. Nick, don't do me that. Don't do me that. Don't talk those things. That's between me and you. Why are you saying those things out loud? It's just a few things, like 1 in 10 things I have at your house. Why are we talking about the packages that are at your house for me? It's not even my fault. I was coming. And then I got stranded and everything went sideways, and then they locked the borders. They're just trying to ruin my summer. Where did we leave off? It is 9:15. Anyhow, so the bulk of the conversation at the beginning was, try not to judge people by their past. Everybody has the ability to change. The same way that, a man wants forgiveness for his past if he has a criminal past is the same way that you should be able to give a woman forgiveness if she's had, a sexually free history. Like I said, you have women who were strippers that are now doctors and lawyers and judges. You have, women who were, they lived in the 60s. They were sexually liberated and sexually free, and they're married and have their good husband and their good wife, and they're in loving whole relationships. Because a person has a particular history doesn't mean that has to dictate what their future is going to be. Everybody has the ability to change. It's just a matter of whether or not they want to. Limiting somebody's potential by saying that they can't change because they were a certain type of thing is not cool, right? Mr. Kuzo 89, if you, by saying that you have a criminal past, if I looked at that to say, okay, well, you're not somebody that I would ever talk to because you used to be a thug or you went to jail or whatever, that would be an unfair assessment. You're probably a wonderful guy. Not probably, I know that you're a wonderful guy. You know what I mean? So it's like, you have to give people the respect that you want. You have to give people the acceptance and love that you want. You cannot judge a person because of their circumstances, and you don't know what it is that they had to struggle and fight against. And again, with that being said, you can't assume that a person who had a criminal past had a choice. You have a lot of people that get into situations, shitty situations, that are on the street and that are knocking the block left, right, and center because that's all that they can do. You have kids that are running the street when they're 12, 13, 14 years old because that's all that they can do. What legitimate job are they going to go get? You know what I mean? Someone offers them an opportunity to take money. They take that opportunity. They still do. I pay it no mind. Life is life. Well, I don't. I would take you at face value, and I would take you as the man that you are now, not, based on your past. If I wanted to know anything about your past, it's so that I could better understand you and the person that you are now, not to judge you by it and not to use it against you. Ah, boy. Oh, let's see. Dawn. Where's Dawn? There we go. Hi, Dawn. We're going to do a quick... Okay, Dawn is safe. Dawn is my photographer and my friend from New York. So I didn't even know that you sent the chat.
Hey, look, hold on. I'm joking. I had to go pick up food from outside. Relax. I had to pick up food.
I was about to say, aren't you in your house?
I had to pick up food from outside. Relax. And
we were just about to fight.
Little regrowth. But
you know what I love? So what I love about what's happening with the quarantine right now is that the men who were joking about the women not getting their nails done and not being able to get their hair done and all their eyelashes falling out and how they're going to look all kind of crazy. You have a whole set of men out there now who are looking like werewolves and Chewbacca.
Whoa.
Not you. You look great. I'm just saying.
No. I mean, trust me, I understand it. It's kind of crazy because I've seen some of my coworkers look bananas.
Rough.
Yeah. Like, this is a choice. I'm trying to grow this, but I digress. All right. So I've seen a lot of the stuff that you were talking about, and I kind of want to jump in. So let me hit the ground running. All
right.
Because
hit it.
I don't think that we should judge people always by the things that they've done in the past, but we also have to have the understanding that people have actively done bad things, not just because of the situation that they were in, but because they chose to do those things. So hold
on. You said always?
Well, not always. Like, some people have chose to do those things.
Okay, got it.
They have made a choice. Like, because I understand you're looking at the glass half full, I think we also have to look at the glass being half empty. I have friends who I know who are criminals. Matter of fact, we're not even going to do that. I've done criminal things in my past that I am not proud of.
What? Don?
You know
What?
this.
No, I know.
And to be completely honest, I think I'm, older and I know better now. But if someone crossed the line, I would have no problem doing some of those things that you probably know about that I'm not going to say on here. No problem with doing that. Now, should the person I next deal with know some of those things? Yes, because at the end of the day, me personally, I might make those choices again. If someone crosses the line, I have no problem. Actually, I might do something later tonight. But anyway, I digress.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We're going to leave it alone. But no, because someone was acting really funny today, and I'm going to have a conversation with them. But
okay, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah.
See, what you're talking about, I feel is a completely different thing, right? You doing something that was part of your criminal past in order to protect yourself is a different thing than choosing to continue to do that every single day just cause.
I understand, but then you also understanding that if times get hard again, that person might have might go back into that. That's all I'm saying. It's always good I'm not saying for people to judge people, because to be honest, and I hate using the term, but I grew up in the church, those without sins shouldn't throw stones. Like, you live in a glass house, you shouldn't throw stones and stuff.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't. But
a gangster will always be a gangster. In his heart. His heart.
Look, I'm a Christian. I'm
First of all,
I pay taxes now. Let me say that. I know how you feel about
you see, only because I can't talk your business. Because what is that? Okay, so I will say, with what Cujo89 said, a gangster will always be a gangster. I do agree with that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that takes precedence in their life. And I say that because there's a minister that I know in Texas who used to gangbang. And now he is head of one of the largest churches, one of the largest ministries in Texas. He is an amazing man, and he feels no way about letting people know what his history is and letting people know where he's come from and how he's come up, but to also let people know that he's changed and he's made an effort to change, made an effort to give his life to God, made an effort to XYZ, and everything that he's learned and a lot of the money that he's made, he's put towards his church and towards the community and towards helping youth that were in his position to do better than what he did.
Well, no. I mean, I understand that. And I don't get me wrong. I do feel people change. I think, everyone changes. Life has a tendency of making people change, whether they want to or not. Thing is, I feel as if that, that you shouldn't judge people, but that's kind of crazy because we're always going to have judgments or notions on people. For example, like, I date women who are more sexually experienced than what the norm would say is acceptable, right?
Really, Don?
Yeah, I have no problem dating that because I understand that, like, I would much rather be with someone who's more experienced and knows what they're doing than dealing with someone who doesn't. I also understand that I have to deal with the consequences of those actions, which are, due to,
run their mouth.
As a man, let me say this, like, I do feel uncomfortable sometimes with how men feel that they're entitled to women that they've had in the past further on in life. I don't really rock with that. And I've had to deal with guys who have dealt with people I've dealt with in the past. And people seem to forget that, like, I'm 6'3", I'm like, 290, and I have no problem having a conversation with a man with no words. But
sorry, what?
I have a conversation with someone with no words. But
when life opens up again and the borders open up again, I'm coming to see you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, because we're gonna fight. You and I need to have like a long conversation. And I know we keep having this same conversation, but yeah, we're gonna fight.
No, I mean, I'm not.
Oh, and he picks people up literally. Yes, he does.
Yes,
He does.
that was a good experience, but I digress. Anyway, um, but no, like I just think that people should always be aware. I also want the fact of we have to understand that most people are dumb, and most people choose to be dumb. Like they have the opportunity of being smarter, but they choose to blindly lead people because it's easier to do.
So ignorant, not dumb.
Hold on. I mean, yes. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay.
Right. So, for example, I have.
We're buffering. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you're good.
I'm sorry. I opened. My apologies. I have residents who I see every day. I mean, I'm an essential worker. I work in a resident as well as do photography. You know, for the likes of AJ here. But who literally come down and put hand sanitizer on the gloves and wipe their hands with it. It doesn't make any sense. I've actually had doctors who live in my building do this.
What?
Doctors, like people who actually cut into people for a living, do that. It's not always about like stuff making sense. It's about people feeling like it's helping them. Most people haven't been through a lot of the things that, you know, I or you or other people who've been through things have been through. So when something happens like this, people panic.
Absolutely.
And to do the little dumb things that we look at, and I'm like, bro, you just put hand sanitizer on gloves that has alcohol in it that's going to dry out the gloves and make the gloves more likely to rip.
Yeah, it deteriorates it deteriorates and degrades the glove. It deteriorates the synthetic, which is just.
But I also understand that makes the person feel safe in a situation that, you know, if they didn't feel safe, they would panic and do dumber things. Or I'm sorry, I don't want to be not politically correct.
Okay. I want to ask you something that's not related to that. So I had asked earlier whether or not, because somebody had made a statement, I think it was Kuzo89 who made a statement that once a woman is a hoe, she's always a hoe. And so you can't wife a hoe because she's always going to be a hoe. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think
from the male perspective.
I mean, look, I don't want to use the word hoe anymore, unless it's pertaining to someone who is
a gardener
selling themselves. And to be honest, like I'm talking about selling themselves on the street. I'm not talking about like there's levels to sex work, in my opinion. But I digress.
We need to come back and have a conversation about that story, just as a total different thing. Because is there really a difference between a woman who sells herself on the corner independently versus a woman who works out of a hotel?
Well, I'm sorry, and let me clarify. I'm thinking of it in a negative connotation because for me, I believe that we should legalize, you know, prostitution everywhere.
Okay, no, stop. That's a different conversation. We're gonna come back and have that conversation another day. Don't start. Don't start.
Okay.
Okay. The question is: a hoe always gonna be a hoe, and she can never be a housewife?
No, that's not true.
Okay.
That's not. People grow and people progress. Now, people will have a history. For example, I have a history. I have a body count number that some people might say is a large one. Some people might say it's not. But, you know, what would make me not be a hoe in comparison to a woman who had a large sexual history as well?
Sorry, hold on one second. So Kuzo89, you keep saying a hoe is a hoe. Does that apply only to women, or is that if a man is a hoe, are you saying that it's like if not gender specific? Because you keep saying a hoe is a hoe. So does that apply to both men and women? Or so you're sexist. So you're saying if a woman is loose, then that will always follow her. But if a man has a lot of sexual partners, then it's neither here or there. Kuzo89, is that what you're saying? Because Don said, by his estimation, if some people would say that he's had a lot of sex partners, your response was, but he's a man, so that's different. Okay, so now you're saying both. If a man has had a lot of sexual partners, or a woman has had a lot of sexual partners, they're hoes regardless of whatever. And once they're that, they're always gonna be that. Sorry, in the most respectful way, that's the most fucking stupid thing I've ever heard anybody say, with all respect. Because now you're saying that a person cannot change, and that's absolutely asinine. Sorry.
Okay,
Done.
let me jump in there for a second.
Okay, wait, it's gonna cut us off, which means we're gonna have to come back. Everybody who's on here now, come back. We're gonna be back in like 10 seconds. Hold on.